Hey guys, Arm&Gun here. Going to do a full disassembly of this Robinson Armament M96, which is basically a Stoner 63 replica. Again, these are different from a factory Stoner M63. I'm not sure how identical the internals and the takedown procedure are. I'm assuming the takedown is probably relatively similar, but nonetheless, there's very limited information on taking these things down, so I'm going to take it right down, and yeah, let's do it. So I've heard when you this is the last round bolt hold open. I've heard it's better to have the fire mechanism on fire for these when you charge it back. I've just heard that. I'm not sure if that was a difference between early or later guns or if it matters, but I've just heard that was told to me, so I'm passing that along. Take the mag out. Again, it's been proven clear. And let's go. So this is relatively involved. There's a lot of little tricks, and for starters, let's pop off the hand guard. This is the barrel latch. You depress that to pull the barrel out, but this makes it a little bit easier if we do all this first. So all these pins, none of these pins are self-retained, they all pop out, but they're all the same throughout the gun, so just set them aside. And then this handguard just comes right off. And that's your, again, this whole gun is stamped stainless steel, very high quality, a lot of work to make these kind of guns, which is why they were quite expensive, and I think is why they stopped eventually making them. So okay, next up we will pop the rest of the pins out. Oh, actually, I will get the barrel out first. So pulling the charging handle back, you can stick your finger inside and actuate the bolt hold open. That's just so that the bolt is not engaged inside the locking lugs of the barrel. Press this button right here down, and that unlocks the barrel. Pull the barrel right out. Pretty simple. So this is where it's locked in right there. That's your full barrel and gas block. Very easy to clean. It's nice and easy to get out. And again, you don't even need to take the handguard off to do that. It's just, it makes it a little easier. You can see it in there. So, and we'll pop up the rest of the pins now. Some of these pieces are all overlapping. Like the mag well fits over top of the trigger guard, but they share the same pin. Kind of like a G36 actually. But all these pins are pretty tight, so I will use this Allen key and this mallet to get them started. And actually the one for the stock is captive. But again, you can't pull that out yet because this one is still in there. That one's out. You put a little forward pressure, and then you can pull the stock handle back, and that's your lower. So fire control group, everything's in there. Your stock. Stocks are really easy to pull out. You just pull this other pin, you pop that one out. Stocks fit quite tight, at least mine do. But again, it would make a good candidate for aftermarket adapters to run other stocks on. So then this part can kind of hinge up. Oops, I guess that's why it was under pressure, is because the bolt was being closed. So that's fine, that's quite fine. That can stay in there till it takes a bit of work to get all the internals out, and there's a trick to that. But we will pop this off first. This is the last pin that's keeping the receiver or the various components together. So this is your mag well. Again, that just comes right out. Solid metal. Not solid, solid stamped metal. But very nice construction. This just sits on here. This is just the button that pushes down the bell retaining latch, so that can just stay as it is. But now you need to separate your bolt from your op rod, essentially. And it's kind of similar to the way a Sig 553 comes apart. 1 second, I'll just grab and demonstrate. So on a 553, you have this little, again, your gas system, your piston, and op rod is all, your op rod is attached right to your bolt carrier group. And in this one, you push this little thing down, you pull out your charging handle, and then that separates the two. The charging handle is the link that locks the two together. Well, in this gun here, in the Robinson Armament M96, this is non-reciprocating, and this is actually separate. This, once you pull this, disconnect this will just stay here and flop around. So there's a little push thing in here, a little button, and all you need to do is push it. And that disconnects these two from each other. So it's a bit of finesse to then separate them. How did I do this last time? I think it's just literally just push it. Oh, there we go. Okay. You push it in and you just pull the bolt back, and that's all slides at the back of the gun, and there you go. There's your complete bolt carrier assembly. Set that off to the side for a second. Now your op rod and everything is still retained in there, and it's just a little keyed slot. So you push this in, rotate it, and then it gets through the key and comes right out. And now this is your bare receiver. So you can get in there and clean that out as best you can. All hollow inside there. Not too bad, pretty easy to clean. So this is your op rod and the top of your piston there. And this is a little keyed section. So you have to get this little key through a little slot in the receiver. And then you want this is what engages with the bolt. So the bolt carrier. When you press this little button down here, you can see it moves that little gate backwards. And when that's back, this can slide in, and then it slides in this orientation. And then when this closes, it locks into this groove, and that's what locks your carrier and your op rod assembly together. So the rest of this comes apart very much like an AR bolt or a G36 bolt, anything like that. So there's a little retaining pin here, and it's just being kept under spring pressure for the firing pin spring. So push this in, and then basically this will just fall out. It only comes out one way. Set that aside. Now your firing pin assembly comes out. That can all just stay together, and you can just clean it up as you need to. Now the cam pin is very sticky. It's a very tight fit, and it just wiggle it around, that comes out, and then there's your bolt. And that's literally it, guys. That's the system right there. So there's only one way to reassemble it, so you're not going to get that backwards. I'll do that all really quickly. And this one, you just want to make sure that the carrier pin is all the way down, flush kind of with that rail. That way it'll allow the firing pin to go back through. The firing pin doesn't need to go in any particular direction. It just needs to make sure that you get it through there, and then seat it all the way up against the carrier, push your firing pin in, and then you can put this little retaining pin through. And again, once you let go of this, the pressure will retain it. So that's it for that. We will wipe off my hands quickly so I don't get all this extra grease everywhere. We will put this guy in first. Again, you'll slide it in and just twist it around until you find where that key is going to go through, which I found it there. Now we're going to slide this through, and we're going to rotate it so that this thing is oriented like that. Okay, now we're going to send the bolt carrier assembly in, and that'll just sit up against it. And then now, get my finger behind it so I can put a little pressure on it. Take a key again to push this little button, push it in, and this will drop down on it, and a bit of wiggling until it re-engages, just more or less with this, and you can see it's locked back in there, and they're once again connected. So that's it for the internals. We'll put everything else on in, I guess, the backwards order. So this is the trickiest one to get lined up. Let's get this back on there, just because there's a lot of, you got that hole, you've got this hole, you've got that hole, and you've also got the front of this hole as well. So a lot of holes to line up. And this needs to go the right way, which is this way. We'll get that all seated in there. Everything's a nice snug fit too. So we'll grab this receiver pin, get it started, and I just generally move things around a little bit to try and get them seated in there. And then once I've mostly got it figured out, either put pressure or give it a couple taps with the mallet, but just be light and gentle. Again, you don't want to force anything when it comes to firearms. So now just the lower, and the lower kind of has to fit inside the mag well. So again, you got a lot of overlapping holes in there, and just be gentle when you put it together. So put a little pressure in, and then slide the lower to the rear pin there. We'll get that one started first. Oops. Okay, that guy's in. Now, just you. And that one went in really nice and smooth. Now we can toss our barrel in, just because it's easier to see because you got the vented handguard. Oh, we will bring the bolt back though first, so that the bolt isn't going to engage and isn't going to block the barrel extension from getting in there. Slide that in. Come on. Oh, duh. Okay, yes, obviously you have to press the latch in so you can get the barrel in and then let it close, and it's locked in. So there we're good to go, and everything's self-aligning. Drop the bolt on it, that's all locked in. Last thing is simply the handguard. It only goes on one way. You position this cutout with the barrel latch. Get that on there nice, and the last pin goes through. This one is snug. Cool, and that's it, guys. Let me just give her a quick function check, throw her on fire, but she should be good. So, yep, we're good. Thanks a ton, guys. Check my other videos. Just like and subscribe. Again, follow me on Instagram as well at arm.and.gun. Link in description. Check you later.